What's up? It's Eddie. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I wanted to just do a video explaining about I want to call it like afterlife reviews. I've made other videos about it before, like calling it Akashic Records. I think they both kind of go hand in hand, like the afterlife reviews and Akashic Records, and I'll explain why as I get into this. I could be a little bit wrong, but I'll just tell you from my experience what I've seen. Because I had some other people asking about this, like when we did a Zoom meeting with the guy from Forever Consciousness and a couple other people on there that I really enjoyed doing that. But I explained this story on here, and he was asking about it, so I just wanted to make a new video, kind of getting like refreshing it a little bit, the story. But how it started for me, because it was like, see, when he interviews people and does it on his channel, some of them are doing it from near-death experiences. But I've experienced this life review area from like a out-of-body experience. And it started off where like I was going under attack by certain types of reptilian beings for like weeks at a time, like leading up to this. And they would just do all kinds of tactics to fuck with you. They make you feel like you have bugs on you and stuff. They kind of just fuck with you mentally, and I could see them in my space. And I started using magnets, like I said, because I could see the magnets were affecting their portals and their vortexes and stuff. And out in my yard, I had some big oak trees. And I was noticing, and if you've seen the video that I showed with the buffalo rock in my yard, how it's like an interdimensional portal marker. And I was just trying to, and I could see that the trees were actually portals and stuff. So I started like messing with the magnet and trying to like disrupt their portals. It was like when you're on the astral, you can like close the portals up with your intention. So anyway, so I started to use these magnets, and I was messing with their portals through remote viewing with my eyes closed. I know a lot of you probably are starting to get that ability where you can close your eyes and you can see things on the astral. So I was doing it when I would point the magnet at their portals and their vortexes and stuff, like it would mess them up. Well, there's this one that was like inside of a tree, and I started to hit it with the magnet with my eyes closed back and forth. Then all of a sudden it like collapsed their vortex. And then within seconds, there was like hundreds of these like fast-ass like insectillion. They almost looked like grays. They were in a humanoid form, but they were black. And they kind of had like an ant's head. They looked like a humanoid ant. And they were just moving around super fast. And then they came up to me, and like they were like, what's going on? What's good? They were like panicking. Something was like really wrong, terribly wrong. And I was like trying to explain to them, I'm like, because there was the one reptilian being that was like fucking with me constantly, and I could see him over in the distance. And I was like, he keeps fucking with me. And they were like, who is? And I was trying to show them who it was, and they were just, and he didn't even care at the time. So I guess they were getting upset because I was disrupting their vortexes and this whole intertangled portal docking station that they got going on here. So after this, I just went inside and I fucking like laid down. Like I wasn't like laid down on a bed. I kind of just like laid down on like a recliner, and I was just like resting my head a little bit. And then I started to be able to see things like through remote viewing, all these other types of beings. And then next thing I know, I left my body and I was like inside of this like energetic, I want to say like ship, but it's nothing like solid. It was like an energetic force field ship thing. And it just, and this was in the astral form. It wasn't in like a physical form. And when I was in this thing, like I couldn't see that. I want to say ship because I was in there with different types of beings, but it was more like, it could have just been like another type of like one of them orb realms or something like that. So when I was inside, I couldn't really see from what it was from the outside of it. I was just on the inside, and on the inside of it, they had like these big TV monitors. And they were just trying to like show me like shit on these TV monitors about like all these. They were showing like this one guy boxing first, then they would show like this one dude farming. They were showing like all these different types of beings that I was, and then they showed me this one like being that I was at one time, and then they showed me with another female of that being, the opposite sex, and then a child. And they were like, they were showing me like this was the first child that you ever had as like a being in these systems and shit. So like, as they showed me like a few clips from different lives, and I was asking them about the boxing one and stuff, I was like, was I any good? And they were showing me all these clips. They're like, yeah, you were actually really good. But then all of a sudden he's like, they wanted to show me something else. And some of these beings, this story is so far out, man. Even as I'm telling you, this is like hard for me to like understand, but this shit happened to me, right? So then these beings too, some of them looked like weird. Some of them looked like a crab type of being. Some of them looked like beings that were like, if you ever seen The Simpsons, when they have them ETs that are on The Simpsons that always come up, like them green beings that don't have legs, they kind of just have like a flat bottom with like goo, almost. They weren't green like that, but there was beings like that. So there was like all sorts of different cartoonish weird beings, right? But then after they started showing me all the things on the TV, then all of a sudden they projected me into like this other like area, like a teleportation. It was just like, it was quick. It was almost like I don't know if I even like teleported or if the scenery behind me just kind of like changed all of a sudden. But then all of a sudden I was like, they were standing next to like this giant like orb. And the size of it was probably in comparison to like me next to like a 2-story house. And then the being goes up to it, one of the beings, and he's like, and he like, say you're standing next to the orb, like he's standing next to a house, and he goes up to it, and you can grab the ball out of it and pull a ball out. And then that ball would have a ball inside of it. And after he pulled like that ball out of the big ball and then pulled another one out, he had a little one in his hand. And he showed it to me. He's like, you see this? And then he's like, this is about how many lives most of us, like he's talking about all him and his friends on the ship. He's like, this is about how many lives we have lived. He's like, this is like a couple million lives. And then he takes the ball and then he puts it back into the other one and then puts that one back into there. And then he takes that one and sticks it back into that massive ball, which is made up of thousands beyond thousands of these other balls, right? And then he puts it back into there, and he's like, you see this? And then he points at the big ball holding all of them, and he's like, that's how many lives that you have lived. So there was probably had to have been trillions of them in there, because that little ball had millions of them in it, you know, and there's just countless lives that we have lived. And then you could see how, like, they do, like, these over-life scans on lives. Like, sometimes when beings experience a life, actually, most of the time, when beings experience lives in these virtual systems, a lot of times it's not them, they weren't the original experiencer of that life. When you experience your life, when you're in your data cipher, everything's getting recorded, everything's getting documented, everything. So then when you die, or when this life ends, that gets stored in that type of orbs and balls. It's kind of like Akashic records. That's how I seen it. And then when they want to show them, they can kind of project them onto these TVs. Or they can have other beings come in, and they can kind of plug them into the ball. And then what can happen is, in a moment, they can scan them inside there. And it can only be like a second or two inside the ball, but then the being could come out and then be like it experienced that whole life. And this is what we could be doing now at the time. I'm not exactly sure if this life that I'm living now is this overlay scan, or if I'm living the actual life. I'd like to say that I'm living the actual life, because there's certain beings that are brave enough to actually go live the actual life out. But then there's other beings in the multiverse and shit, right, that just want to like come in and do like scans like that. Or some of them, what they do is they just want to experience like certain pleasures and good things from certain lives. Like they don't ever want to partake in any of the challenges or the heartaches or anything that's bad. They just want to come in and enjoy when this person had some good sex, or when this person had a lot of money, or when this person wasn't working and they got to do all this stuff, and they kind of like will do an overlay scan hack on certain things. That's what certain beings do, right? But there is other beings that actually will live full lives out and then have it recorded into these like Akashic record data sphere balls. And then other beings can come in and they gotta like pay some kind of commodity with an energy or something like that, and then they can kind of have scan their own thing, get a scan of a certain life, and then have that experience that it's shared. So that's pretty much it that I had for that experience. It was kind of tough after coming back from that. But like when I was going through that experience, I thought like I was getting unplugged from the system, it was done. But then I got put back into the system. I'm not exactly sure how much of it was them fucking with me or anything like that, because there was a lot of there was at the time a lot of like battles going on. Like I said, with me closing down portals, messing up shit with their interdimensional webs and shit that they had, and they could have been like trying to distract me with something while they were repairing certain portals, so I didn't keep messing it up. But it felt pretty genuine. I think it was a little bit of both. I think they were showing me something that was real, but they were kind of using it to try to make me feel bad for them a little bit. Like they were trying to help me, and plus they were trying to distract me while they can get certain portals up and going again. But that was my experience with certain, like, I think that's kind of like the certain area that people will go when they have life reviews. And like I talked about with life reviews before in other videos, how they can, like, while you're in here, they put you under mind control, and they can make you do certain things that are bad. And then once you're done, then they can, when they show you a life review, they'll show you all the bad things that they fucking did to you under mind control, and then make you feel like, look, you could have did this better, you could have did that better. So it's a big game. And then they do it to you when you're in the reality system too. They'll fucking give you mind control, make you do fucking fucked up shit, and then a couple years later, or however much later, they'll start putting you under guilt trips about it and try to make you feel bad. So that's what the main thing is. Just, you know, I mean, like, I don't want to take like excuses for anything I did bad or other people did bad, because we are, you know, still have ability to override the mind control, but it's very powerful, and it makes people think that their thoughts, other implanted thoughts, are theirs, and they, excuse me, and they start identifying with them and stuff. So it's just something to think about, how to, that's why overcoming mind control is so important. But yeah, so that was my experience with afterlife review programs that they have, and how they record it all. They can do scans, overlay, you know, they can overlay somebody, put them into a game. I've seen shit on the fourth dimension where there was people in like these arcade systems, and they would have these big malleable walls that like they touch and it'd be like flubber, like it would just like goo in and shit, and they'd have these goggles on, and I would be watching these guys, and they would like be like, I could see them like from one perspective, like it looked like they were like having sex with a woman, right? And then I'd see it from another perspective, and it would just be them on a virtual reality interacting with like some kind of hologram like wall. So there's all kinds of stuff like that in different dimensions, and then they can, you know, some people have experiences where they can just go in, like I said, have experience having sex, or doing something that they like, you know what I mean, like driving cars or mountain climbing or skydiving or whatever, you know what I mean. And then there is other ones where you actually get put into full life experiences that you can actually live out. And then there's other ones where you can kind of just get an overlay scan of somebody who already lived a life. There's so many different things in these virtual realities. Like I said, there's other realms that they're taking energy from these realms that they use to power up certain realms, that they can make kind of anything they want in them kind of realms. Like we have the ability to do when we leave, but then we get tricked into going to afterlife programs instead of making our own realm, which Forever Consciousness likes to bring up, and I feel like it's really true. I've seen, you know, firsthand all kinds of shit like that. So that's pretty much, you know, what I wanted to share for this video. So thanks for listening and watching. Peace.